other stuff.
He doesn't want us to let him talk right now.
Well, because there's
Nice weather out
there
here.
is an elitist thing coming out here that I can smell really strong, and that's this: is that, you know, never assume that an audience is not intelligent, and never assume that we all know everything, because even in your field and my field, there's stuff that I
Those are wise words.
bypassed, and as I might have a lot of experience in one area, but there's Swiss cheese holes in it, and I might not have heard of
And
this.
every time you do something, you learn an amazing amount of stuff that you never thought you were going to learn.
Well, okay, I
And
think,
so
I
be
think,
hospitable is all
I
I'm
think by
saying.
definition, we're gonna get an intelligent audience.
Yeah.
Because they're not gonna be interested, people who aren't intelligent aren't interested in avant-garde art, for the most part.
See, but that's the thing, is that
So we
we
can
have
assume-
to go beyond that level of thinking. And there's that, no, seriously.
You just told me don't underestimate an audience.
Yes, but don't, how do you call it? It's like if you have a dinner party, okay? And what you want to do is, like having a play is, or presenting a piece of philosophy or art is like having a dinner party. You want people to appreciate it.
Yeah, well, you sometimes make a careful selection of both food and guests.
Right.
That's true, but
Yeah.
when you do, okay, you make it as wonderful as possible.
True, but you don't just
So-
go pull the first 5 people off the street and set them down there at gunpoint and eat this.
Okay, so
So
that's
what's your point? What's your point?
That brings up an important question. Let me ask you this:
Okay.
Are you thinking of selective audiences for these pieces, and do you want to keep them that way, or do you want them more general?
No, I'd
They'll
like,
select themselves.
I think to be self-selected, but I think there should be a mixture of different kinds of, acts or
Absolutely.
whatever we do.
No, but
That'll
what
give
I'm
people
saying
difference,
is,
but I think that you're going to have a selected audience because the audience for theater is selected,
it doesn't have to be.
but it is.
We could put this in a rock and roll club. We could put it in a rap club. It
Yeah.
would work fine.
Well, I don't think so.
We sure could stage it that way.
Well, you stage it that way, but whether you might, but the people who appreciate it might not go.
No, I mean,
And
we
the
could
people that are
just.
there might not pay attention.
Not if you
They may be
stage it
throwing beer
properly.
bottles.
Yeah,
No, you guys, listen, it's how you say something, okay? And
I
it's what you
disagree.
have
I
to
disagree. It's what you say. I mean, you can say it as nice. No matter how well you say it, if you have nothing to say, nobody gives a shit.
No, but if you have
I
something
don't
to
need to
say, If-
I'll qualify that.
Well, look at Jeff Cookins. He's got nothing to say, and everybody loves it.
There's lots of pop music that's earning millions of dollars and has absolutely nothing to say.
But
Where's that other?
But do we want to do that? I mean,
The one that's.
no, but
Yeah.
this isn't the point.
I just think we're wasting time on this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we need to decide
Right.
what we're going to do
That's-
and how we're going
I
to
agree.
stage
We
it and
really
start
need to
figuring
talk
out
about
how
it.
we're going to stage it and how we're going to get acts to fill the space and time.
What do you mean acts?
Well,
People? Or-
people, yeah. Now,
That's not a problem.
Once,
well, and what they're going to be doing. I mean, we've got to, there'll be a audition and the selection process on what we want. And
You
then
mean our Nano-Plays, you're talking about
Yeah,
actual,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
what are we
But I
gonna
mean, I
do?
think this.
Yeah.
I think that we've got several possible ideas of staging this thing. Some of it's going to be dependent upon what kind of budget we have. One thing. I mean, maybe the basketball court. There's a, there was a hall in the ECSD in the basement. There was a big cube basically, and it had high bleachers on 3 sides, and the stage is over there. But most of the action actually took place in the middle. And something like that could be done. But like you said, just bleachers on 4 sides. You want to do it that way. Or if we do it in an atrium and have people, on the balconies looking down.
Could you write down again in a sentence or two what you said before of how to describe the piece? Alright. See, what I think, and I may be wrong about this, but I think we should spend a little time developing the staging of these 2 projects before we write it out.
Okay.
I think we should.
You know what,
Okay.
for this project,
Yeah.
are we
I can see that.
talking about like one staging and like one thing, like a bunch of things that will be happening in one space, or are we talking about
Well, we were talking
possibly
about
having multiple different
multiple
spaces?
different permutations.
Yeah, I was gonna say, basically, this could be our space.
Mhm.
And things, happen as according to whether we or the audience, where they think they fit in within this.
Are you talking about the
aesthetic
actual,
or
like, the
this
actual
kind of thing,
three-dimensional
or this
structure?
kind of thing
Well,
too.
the three-dimensional space it's very hard to do. You could have platforms within each of these, if you could maybe, push them around and have people acting on top of them.
Did you see the
that could be-
Academy Awards last night?
No.
Yeah,
Did you see
But-
the acrobats of Circus Soleil?
But we don't have,
I was only the last part.
we don't have, a couple $100,000 to
We
Yeah.
don't need it,
and we're not gonna have it.
No.
But
but we don't
So,
need it.
so the
either.
question is, given the technological constraints, financial constraints, how do we express this aesthetic space, or perceptual space?
There's always a zillion ways to do that.
Well, that's what we need to work on.
Yeah, and we don't have any of those
No.
out of that zillion.
No,
And what I will offer to you,
Mhm.
if you come up with ideas and you can create a little hand sketch,
Mhm.
I will take it and build it three-dimensionally in a CAD
You can
space.
say, okay,
Yeah.
good. I'll give you some
Oh,
napkins.
there we
And
go.
that way you can spin it
Now we're
around.
getting
And,
okay,
yeah,
okay, good,
you
okay,
Yeah,
All right.
okay.
In a CAD space.
Yeah.
in a mathematical space on a computer where you can
We
spin
can
around
see it in
and see it.
dimensions
Yeah.
and stuff. And I need you to write that down too, the way you describe this.
Well, I think I use his description. Look at mine and see if that doesn't match what you said.
Pretty close.
If you want to modify it, go ahead.
In fact, Arthur says he has to be back home by 9 tonight, so
Yeah.
we need to.
Well,
Please
here's the
say
thing
this
is-
Actually, production exploring polyesthetic mapping or.
I will.
I think you can make this a little,
I don't get a chance to
This part
have
is-
dinner.
this part is
before I
fine.
come, so I'm hungry.
this part, I
Alright,
think,
that's
add a little
Thanks.
bit
That's
of
why I-
theatrical.
Kaz left a little money last time, so
A theatrical mapping of polyesthetic, theatrical production, theatrical mapping.
Are you talking about this or that?
I'm sorry, I was
This-
listening to
Yeah,
the
that,
pouring
but I
rain
need
when
you
I
to
was-
write.
Oh, the Mars thing.
The Mars
Oh, the
thing,
Mars thing,
yeah.
okay.
And let me put it on another page.
Okay, okay.
Actually, if you could just put it down below.
Okay,
and
absolutely.
use up.
Well, let me doodle it a little bit, because I can't remember exactly what I said.
Well, he's got it on tape, right?
That's true. yeah.
Okay.
But I just,
Everything is being
this
recorded.
would give me a more,
Exploration.
Arthur, I want to try something with you.
yeah.
With this- Because we have this cubic space here, and we have these axes that run through the middle of those. What I'm interested in is these corners.
Yeah.
Can you give me an experience that you've had that you feel fits in these 8 corners? But just start with one.
Okay, give me 2 corners and see what.
Okay, we'll start with 2 corners.
Okay.
The aesthetics of purposelessness and an expression requiring physical ability, craft.
Physical what?
Ability, craft.
purposefulness.
Purposelessness?
Sure, I can give you one experience I had in music, in playing music,
Yeah,
where,
a piece.
okay, in there's when you are at the height of the limit of your dexterity and your, what do you call it? Your playing abilities.
Okay.
And your mind is following the light, we call it in music, of going from one piece to the next. And you want to express that, what's in your mind through your body.
Right,
Okay.
okay.
Sometimes what emerges out of that is a third piece,
Okay.
rather than the intention
So-
that you're gonna.
Yeah, so that would fit.
Okay, I'll do it.
Craft this in this direction.
Okay.
So in purposelessness.
In other words, what you do is you forego your purpose. You lose your sense of purpose and your
Right. So you have no purpose and you have lots of physical craft. Right.
and
Now,
also you have a transcendence of
now,
purpose.
Yeah,
what's more
yeah.
important, the experience or the thought process?
I think it's what do you call it? It's a whole thing, because in music there's not necessarily an
Okay. Well, then let's do it this way.
separations between physical, emotional,
So,
and
so
intellectual.
think of something that has those 2 ideas that you just said:
Hmm.
physical craft, purposelessness. Now add to it the aesthetics of direct experience, where you don't think.
And so, is there is it an experience?
Come up with
that-
an experience that fits all three.
I
of
think
those.
that fits right in what he's talking about. I mean, I'm just thinking now of the Jimi Hendrix video that I saw on YouTube last night, where he just goes off completely. He's not even in this world.
Is that the one that Bill?
Another one. I looked at the one Bill put up,
And then
I went to another one where he's just like all over the place, not looking at anything, and just like
In the zone.
in a whole other place. Yeah,
Okay, so that's
and that fits all three of what you just said.
that's in the this corner right here in A1.
Okay,
That's just
which is where is that on this one?
right here.
right.
Oh,
So
right.
you're opposing.
Well, it's here
reality
and here. This is
fiction.
the third
And
dimension.
you
So
can
we
do
do already
you're
put that.
proposing reality
Singing
and fiction.
Mockingbird,
Yeah, you
John
can
Cage,
have
John
the
Cage
stage
is
split maybe
33.
vertically.
Purposelessness.
Scientific stuff in the bottom and the fictional
experience.
stuff in the,
Yeah.
you know, the upper part
Well,
of the stage.
actually, 4 minutes and 33
you know,
notes is
scrims
at the top
and
here.
Lighting.
John Cage
Well,
is
too, I
here.
thought of
This
an
is what
idea
you're talking
similar
about
to
down
that,
here.
which
And right
was
here.
that
then. Oh,
No.
no.
No, it would be here.
the humans are
This
never
one.
seen, but the
This is
Martians are on
three-dimensional,
stage.
so you have to kind of turn it
So
like
in
this.
other words,
Here's
Humans
the
are all
cube.
talk.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're all like radio.
So the
you
John
know,
Cage
and,
piece
stuff
is
over
right here.
Houston, you know, blah, blah,
And
blah,
your
blah,
piece is
and,
straight
you know,
down here at the
they're-
bottom.
Oh, I
They're
see.
always, the
I see.
humans
Down
are always
here.
talking.
The
The
opposite
voices,
requires
but
my
what you
craft.
see in reality on the
Okay.
stage
Tremendous
is the
craft.
That could be
Martians.
very powerful.
So you
Yeah.
have
And I originally
So,
was
this
thinking
corner.
that
that
way-
Cage is up
you'd
here in
have the
this
humans
corner.
maybe off to
This
one
piece you
side,
guys
you
are
know,
thinking
the
about.
narrator,
here.
announcer, you know, and then maybe one
Now.
scene in the spaceship.
Now
Let's
we've
go
got
to
two
The rest
meetings
is all
going on.
Martian.
That's
But
all
see,
right.
the Pirandello
That's all
effect
right.
of that was
Yeah.
that the play
Well,
would
what were
be
you
the
gonna say?
Martians
Go to
that you
another
actually
corner.
see,
Okay.
and they would disappear. The play would be gone, but the humans would still be there.
Yeah.
All right,
And-
well, let's
and-
go to another
and-
corner.
and
What
you
do you
could
wanna
have just
be?
the humans appear for the first time.
You could do that too.
Yeah. You know,
Let's do
All right.
something where
Somebody else can stage it.
Okay.
requires the aesthetics of thinking.
My feeling is, you know, that's not what I'm good at.
When you look at
I
it,
mean, I had the idea, I can write dialogue.
it's not an experience.
Because I can learn
It's not something that
that
you
dialogue.
feel through the
I
sensation
can
or
help
senses.
with
So
that
what-
too
which
because
corner
I've
are
got
we
a
in?
music
Which
ear.
I've got to get a little less wordy.
Aesthetics of
That's
thinking.
down here.
Down here.
Down here.
Thinking.
Unless
Yeah.
you're really satisfied
Both
with the words and we
And-
use FX on the words.
And,
Yeah, well,
You
some
know,
of
thinking
it's going
and
to have to be
purposeless.
filtered because it's coming from space.
Thinking and
Uh,
purposeless.
You could.
We'll make it
That
easy,
kind of
thinking
stuff.
and purpose.
Sound effects,
In
something around.
utilitarian function.
I mean, just through
We'll make it
microphones,
easy.
you can use
Okay.
FX.
No, actually, I
Yeah.
thought of one for
Yeah.
For
the other.
purposeless?
Yeah,
You know, my feeling is that,
is what a lot of people think
I
is his
shouldn't be
greatest
here
piece, the
with
song
you.
of the earth.
that the
Yeah,
people
but is
who
it
us-
about, is it about?
It's, you
is
know,
it
it's about
direct
something.
It's
experience?
a collective.
But it's-
cooking,
it's-
you know,
yeah.
It's
'cause
about-
you need
but I don't
to
know, I just
take-
don't want
Basically, it's
position. I
about
get that at Casey
dying,
San
is
Diego,
essentially what it's
for,
about. It's about leaving the world.
2 days or 3
That's
days
really
before
what
the
it's
play
about.
opened.
But
playing
it
with
comes
Rose.
through the
He said, I don't
senses,
like
it's
these
music.
presentations.
Yeah.
Whereas this
I
really
think reading over
doesn't,
what they
doesn't
plan
have
to
a
do with
direct
it, what he wrote.
experience.
Oh, I see.
I think he was completely justified
This
in
was
that.
The
just
thing is,
thinking,
it's
just
their
thinking.
fault not
It's
to
almost
have
like
included
looking
it
at
on
a
the way in their
score
process.
and
Well, I was gonna
You don't
say
want
that,
to ever
okay.
happen.
I just want
I
to
mean, in that sense,
I've got
Mahler's
too many things to worry about.
scores are so highly,
I got
you know, so detailed and intense and deep
I've got it
that
showed.
they wouldn't actually
Well,
be
I
at
was
the
supposed
other
to
end,
be
they'd be in
some
the
book club. I
middle.
didn't want to be, but
Yeah,
so
but
girlfriend.
we
You
want
want
something
something
that's
that's
this
on the
corner.
end.
That's
Right.
the,
Haven't
that's
got
the
the book
challenge.
yet.
Come up with something that fits in the
It's
corner.
boring as hell. I started reading over.
Now, how come there's nothing in this corner over here?
You know, I couldn't think of anything that
What do we
fit
have
over
down there? Well, what's, what,
Yeah, well, what the
This is
parameters?
thinking and
Purposelessness?
Craft.
physical ability,
What is it?
isn't it?
It is the aesthetics of thinking, physical expression, that's craft, and
Well, any sort of crowd like Elizabeth's thing out in front.
and purposeless.
Oh, and purposeless.
Purposeless?
No, wait.
Well,
I thought it was
actually, it even,
Physical
even
ability
even
and
purpose.
craft.
Yeah,
I'm thinking.
actually, it covers the whole doggone thing. There's nothing down through both of those sections. D4 and D3. D4 and D3. So D down here on the back side.
right, there's
There's nothing through both of those.
But you could think.
Frank,
Well, I
I think
could
most
think
meetings said that was purposeless. Physicality, because people get pissed off, and lack of thinking, because people pissed off.
Just two more dumb questions. That things that you addressed before was that if these things do go through, we've got an influx of all sorts of other people coming in. Okay, just in a, off the cuff again, tandem way, where do you see a lot of people coming into this?
With the plays.
With the plays, but what about the science part of it though?
The scientists are going to be, working with the script writers, coming up with a
With
script.
Nano-Plays.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
the Nano-Plays.
And then where do we see scientists coming into this, as opposed to just a huge amount of art mapping and music and
I think that's going to be your biggest
Big
problem
fear.
with selling that
Yeah.
to the
Well, okay.
Okay, so could we add a scene
I
where
think
they-
anybody with space science, anybody who knows anything about rocket science, they could help me make it more realistic, the human
in
scene.
the creative side? Okay, but how
And
about?
also, when we do the Martian thing, I mean, what does the Martian landscape look like?
Well, could we also include?
Phoenix.
Yeah. Well, just the side of the road, southern Arizona. Oh, she goes back to Mexico. And it just takes the people.
Right?
That's Texas. No. I don't know. I've seen one or two plays, about scientists, and let's say one was Heisenberg and Bohr. It was fairly interesting. There's also one called Oxygen, which I think. And I don't know. I just had a hard.
Who was
time.
that about?
Well, I think it was about the discovery of oxygen.
Oh.
By Jurassic. I don't think I've ever actually seen it perform. I just read about it. But, most scientists don't have very dramatic lives, and most scientists don't do things that are very dramatic on a day-to-day basis. It's not a performing art.
But a lot of times their life is a great story of struggle.
Well, yeah, some.
Because usually it's new ideas are
Yeah.
not ideas that are accepted.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there are people, Tori Majarana may have committed suicide, may have just disappeared and changed his name and lived someplace else. Or something. So, yeah.
Who was that?
Oh, he was a great Italian physicist, and he just disappeared off a ferry on an excursion line, and no one, as I recall, they saw him get on. No one saw him get off, and they never heard from him again.
That's interesting.
How long ago?
Gödel went insane. He thought people were trying to poison him, and he starved himself to death at Princeton.
Kurt?
Gurgle.
Gödel.
Kurt?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. Einstein, had a couple of bad marriages. Crazy son. One very normal one who taught engineering for years. Got a Nobel Prize when he was young and did nothing significant the rest of his life, really. After general relativity.
He's quite the cult figure.
Well, I mean, he was politically active. And, there's a story about he was actually asked if he'd like to be the first president of Israel, and he turned it down. And then everyone said, what would have happened if he accepted? I mean, he was very idealistic. Not particularly nationalistic, not religious at all. He wouldn't have been not particularly interested in administration.
So we have our road cut out for us. We've got to sort of get these things into the, what do you call it, proto-presentational mode.
I still
And then-
don't know what your idea was. You said you had a third idea.
Mhm.
Are we?
I'll just write it up, but
Okay.
in essence, in a nutshell, it's the idea is that instead of having everybody compete for these 3 different projects, okay, is to expand the organization a little bit more where, as in the art factory concept or science factory concept, or fusing the two and putting a more Jupiterian kind of organization together where we can actualize a lot of these projects, everybody's projects or a lot of them, in kind of a program, okay, where we do this and we do that, and I'm sure there's other stuff bubbling up all over the place, foaming up, is that we could set up a program and a delightful kind of calendar or a sequence of events where you come and see a whole bunch of this stuff, and instead of denying, these other projects in lieu of, and there's.
What do you think the constraints are now?
What
Why we'd only be, say, doing 3 of them? It's probably mostly financial.
But see, it doesn't have to be that way. It's a matter of, think Disneyland. In other words, if you put together an organization that is powerful.
Lots of money.
Well, there's money here in town, and especially for stuff like this, there's. I would think it would be a fountainhead of collaborations and conceptual geyser of stuff. All the stuff we've been talking about and having not only symposiums but stuff together and dinners, afternoons, and events, and it would be presentations. It would be
This is a tent. This is the tent on top.
interesting. That's all.
Oh. Camera going
All the
like
proteins.
this. So you see that? And then these
No,
somehow.
it's
It's not really a very good one, but I brought it.
Hummus, I believe.
You know what's
Yeah,
the best of
yeah.
this?
Yeah.
Is the
But
charades.
Yeah.
it's a
And
whole
you know why?
entire
Because
space,
they
but
asked
these
them
are
to
the
distribute
structures
this in
that
the
tent
Middle East.
folds,
Yeah.
yes.
And
Yes.
this whole winery was
Yeah,
bought
yeah,
for
and that's the
$12
one.
million by the guys who do
But actually, these
gallows
things are
and
actually
everything.
hanging
Yeah,
And it's going out of
Right.
business.
In
They're just
space.
using it up
They're-
as
they're
fast
not
as
really
they
the
can.
yeah, that's what I said.
These,
You know,
these
and
are
the
walls, but
Shiraz
everything's
is really-
projected
it's,
from
you
The
know,
past one was
hanging in space, you're looking
they're
through.
Yeah,
Australian
yeah,
one.
yeah.
That's what it is.
They had a really, their
Yeah.
Australian one a couple of years ago was really good.
The Shiraz is a
Try
$20 wine.
for something for
Yeah,
D.
let's-
I just
sold
did.
for
It's
just-
just dawned on me.
And
Of
dumping
Charles
it,
Shaw.
Thinking in
dumping
craft.
it off for $2.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm about to try it next time.
Well,
I'm
I
right
came
the
up
ball.
with Elizabeth's
It's got less,
project,
toxic,
which there's no way that any regular tile.
But this is a
person could
good
do
wine
that, but
company.
it
It just
took
was
a
I think
discounted.
our
lot
whites
of
are,
thinking, and it came
yeah,
together
there's
with
variations.
her
in it.
craft,
Some of
and
them-
that was the.
My mother likes
purpose of it.
Sauvignon Blanc for some reason. I think it's Chardonnay with plus
Is that-
water.
Yes, I think it depends on,
But,
yes.
so I used to buy stuff by the case.
It
It's
does.
like a glass every night.
It's
Yeah,
not
we're not
something-
talking about value either. I mean,
It kills a bottle
For
every
instance.
day, isn't it?
Okay,
It's
it's kind of hard not to put value on something like that.
sure, well, that's personal, so it's gonna have value. We're having trouble, see, notice that D here doesn't have anything populated in on my example, because I couldn't think of anything.
And what does it need?
It needs an expression requiring physical ability, craft, and the aesthetics of thinking, which
That's music, man.
That's what I would think, too.
I was
Well-
thinking of Elizabeth's project.
Well, it's also art. Oh, come on. When you take a line for a walk,
represent?
when you
The
take
left
a...
or right over here? Because you said the whole
Yeah, but
D
one more
thing
reason
is
I gotta
empty.
what?
You said you couldn't think of anything for the
D
whole
and
D.
D, D3 and 4.
I'm not
Right,
going
so
to
what
meetings
is the
anymore.
left and
I'm
right?
gonna-
I've got,
What's the
tomorrow I'm
difference
gonna work on
between
taxes
3
a
and
little
4?
bit. And then Wednesday I've got to.
Well, look at this
Do the
now.
full play.
I wish I could read it.
The
I mean,
full,
I've got to be
See,
the
aesthetics of
get back a little bit.
universal,
I'm only on
Hey,
Or
For about
utilitarian?
5 or 10 minutes in the second act.
hey,
So it's utilitarian versus purpose. Is that
What I
that
try to
axis?
do is go run lines with somebody.
You see, this thing is sitting like this.
The other thing, Kaz, is when you're painting, okay, and you're taking a line for a walk, okay, there's a thought process that's almost algebraic that happens where you're physically in a certain state where you're thinking, but if you think too much, you screw up the line, okay, and if you think too little, you don't take the line in the right direction. It doesn't end up where if you're drawing the back of a calf, in a foot, okay, you've got to get feel that thing coming right there exactly how it is.
But is the thinking being expressed? You're thinking while you're dealing with this thought process.
Absolutely.
But when somebody looks
Absolutely.
at the line, can they see the thinking involved in it?
They should be able to if they
That's
if they
kind of what I was
understand
talking
Only
about
if they've experienced doing that.
if they
haven't
understand art.
experienced
Give me
it,
where's
they're
the
not an
painter?
artist.
Right about that. Nate.
Here we go.
Well,
I
might be
think,
that
I think you
too.
kind of answered your question.
Yeah.
on
But what about
the
purpose? Is that
experience has to
purposeful
do.
or purposeless? Because remember, they've got everything, there's 3 axes there.
Right, purpose, the other is utilitarian function, that's purposeful.
What's this over? This is purpose.
This is craft, this is 3D.
So the whole D section in the back is,
Yeah.
Kaz couldn't think of anything there.
All along the bottom,
okay.
and D3 and 4.
Yeah, yeah.
The other thing is
I
think
see
of
why
dance.
they're
Kaz, think of dance, okay? When you're in a dance sequence, you're not only intuitive physically, biologically, but also you've got an intellectual sequence
Just
where you're
thinking for
going,
sure, yeah.
where you're going into, you're moving
But-
your feet like
but
this, and you know you've got to end up there.
I'm looking at you though. I'm not concerned with your thinking at all. I'm experiencing the beauty in the way you're moving. It's going through my eyes, giving me tactile.
You're talking about the
I'm
audience,
experienced.
not the-
Yes, I'm talking about the audiences. What?
Okay.
How do you? An expression. You're expressing something. But you're expressing thinking.
Yeah, but
How do you
this,
Well,
express
this is
audience-
where
the
the
audience
audience
member-
member has a different.
No, no,
audience
no.
member has a different
Well, but
experience.
he's bringing up an interesting point, which
Yeah.
is like in sports, okay, there's a vicarious experience that you have, a projected experience you have as an audience, where your body is moving through that.
Right.
You're watching a football game and you're actually, there.
You feel those hits.
You do,
Right.
yeah, and they've done studies on that too, where you actually, your brain is moving sort of certain muscles and then stopping them, and and
But you sure as hell have to know a little bit about the game in order to
That's-
enjoy watching it at all.
Right.
Right,
Otherwise,
that's
it's just
true.
a bunch of big guys beating each other up, chasing a
that's
little ball.
that's what every Englishman says when they look at American
For a
football.
lot
Right.
of, for a lot of money, so there's purpose
Right.
to it too.
Right.
And what a lot of
Well, I don't think you can have any aesthetic experience that's not an orchestration of a huge amount of
Of all of these ideas.
all the stuff that you're.
The
going
thing of
to-
it is, the difficult part is, I'm curious, what's happening at the corners? Can you, if you can come up with experiences at the corners of this, then I know you fully understand this polyaesthetic mapping. If you can't come up with experiences for the 8 corners, you haven't really got your mind wrapped around it.
Well, that's what the other members of the team have to come up with.
Well, where my
No,
mind
sure.
is not wrapped around that yet
That's something that is, I think,
is
a challenge. for us.
is artistically, where you're always pushing the envelopes of aesthetics in art, in the creative process. of
Actually,
it.
that could be our project.
But
Is
that's-
to get other people involved to find out how we can populate this.
That's what I've been trying to say all along.
Why didn't you?
No, but that's what I've been trying to.
Say that where it's a non-elite audience like this.
Why
would
is there an
understand.
earring on this glass of wine? Is that some, what do you call it, talisman thing?
That's the prize. You get the prize.
Okay, well, listen, just to bring this down to a moment of, next step in the beat.
Yeah.
Okay, do you guys want to each come up with a proto encapsulation?
Yeah, I've got to start getting this thing on paper for the
Okay.
application.
Yeah.
All right, because what that would help me tremendously, and I know them too, is that to put this into a colorful, how do you call it, non-resistant mode where people can't say no. Okay, and there's to actualize this stuff, because as I said, we can start anywhere from anywhere in any place in the universe.
They've got to see the chocolate icing. Somehow, I'm
Yeah.
just using it as a metaphor, of course, but
But I'm saying the direction that we take this has to be effective. It can't be a waste of time, and so there's gold in there and there's gold in there, or there's diamond and diamond there, but it has to be faceted, and so in order to facet it, we need to.
Actually, some of it can be a waste of time. Like 4 minutes, 33 seconds.
Yeah.
It's not a waste of time.
not at all.
Not at all.
to some-
That's
Especially
one of
the first time
that's
it
one
was
of the
played.
most
To some people,
greatest epiphanies I ever had.
Well, that was the idea. Yeah, that was the idea. But to some people, it is a waste of time.
Yes,
Mine was
definitely. They don't get it.
Carrillo, I call them the 1/4, 1/8, and 16th time, and 16th times.
In 16 tone?
16th times.
You know what though? Somebody actually made a really astute observation about that cage piece. that in that piece, John Cage claimed silence as his own.
Why, sure, yeah.
In other
Everybody's
words-
talking
No,
about
that's
that.
not what it's
I know that's
about.
not what it's about.
And that's not what he's interested in
I
either.
know.
What
It's
he's
like, what's
interested in is take
What are
this
people
4 minutes
hearing?
and 33
Right.
seconds, and everything you experience,
Yeah.
you experience the present moment.
Yeah, yeah.
Right there. You don't
That's my
compare
piece,
anything.
exactly.
You don't make relationships between
that was
things.
before YouTube.
You just
Yeah.
experience the present moment for 4 minutes and 33 seconds, if you can do it, which nobody can other than a Buddhist monk, you know. But
Yeah, it's funny. Okay, so what we're gonna hear soon is encapsulation. And see, we're all waiting in the wings.
here's what I would want you guys to do is come up with the experiences for those 8 corners,
We have to
Okay.
think of that.
you know.
Especially
Now,
that D
and
section.
the difficult one here is to see aesthetics of thinking. It's not.
Oh, come on.
Thought-
That's philosophy.
No, but philosophy is a good one.
Yeah.
Math is
Joy
an
of thought.
easy one, but we're talking about the expression of thinking, not the thought processes you go through with making art. We all know you have to think to go with art. When you look at art, you don't like. If I go look at a beautiful painting, or let's say this painting right here on the wall, when I see it, it hits me. I don't have. Let's see. How did he make that tree? Let's see. He used
Well, why don't you
burnt
think
umber
about
on
it?
that one, and he used cerulean blue was, I think, the paint that I don't. That's not what you think about. Those are the thought processes making. When I look at that, that's not what's important. The
There's a
aesthetics
lot of-
thing. There's a lot of
okay,
thought in,
listen.
but that's not what's important. The experience is what's important.
Okay, there's a
So
to,
that
to add
is-
something to your dimension here. In the early computer art, okay, what the computer artists were doing is they were saying it's not the final imagery of what you need to know, okay, to experience the art. It's to understand the process of making these pieces that
Kind
we've
of the
done.
Those are process pieces.
No, but
That's
those,
process art. That is the art. The aesthetics was in the process.
and they wanted
Not
you
in
to,
the piece.
they
That's-
wanted you to
yes.
see what they were doing in their accomplishments and their goals. Okay?
That's about the expression of thinking. Yes.
Okay.
Conceptual
Yes.
art is all about the aesthetics of thinking. It's not about the direct experience from the art object itself. The art object itself
But see,
points
but
at the experience.
Every art piece and musical piece has within it that
What
compound.
concepts? Is that what you're,
The compound of concepts and the bricks.
you're
and
missing it. You're missing it.
No, no, no,
totally.
no, because-
You're totally missing it.
Okay.
Conceptual art is like my ring here, okay? The art object itself is not it's not beautiful. There's a million rings out there, gold bands that look just like this. The art object itself has very little aesthetic, but what this ring points to is the beauty in my marriage.
Okay.
The love that I have with
Can
my
I-
wife and my relationship. The object points to an aesthetic outside of the object. That's
okay.
what conceptual
That's
art
the-
is about.
But that's not true.
And that's kind
That
of,
is what conceptual.
Let me finish.
Historically, if you read books on conceptual art,
Look,
well, he's
okay.
a conceptual artist, so.
well, fine.
No, but here's what I'm
I mean,
saying.
he may have his own take on it. I'm talking about,
Slow
historically.
down. You're in science and engineering. I'm in art.
No, he's an artist.
Okay,
I have a
but-
degree in a BFA in sculpture.
Okay, then you know
You gotta do a little bit of
Christo's work, right?
Yeah.
You're familiar. And the last piece he did in New York with all the flags, the yellow flags and orange flags everywhere. What was he doing in his piece?
I haven't studied that piece.
Okay, he was walking through his piece with his girlfriend, going, look at that, look at that, look at that, look at that. And it was kind of mortifying, actually, because he was saying, not the conceptuality of it, but what the beauty of the conceptual process was bearing, or was, the egg and the sperm of the two things. And that same paradigm, okay, for beauty exists in conceptual art as in every other kind of form of art. Okay, it's the idea that it's an intention to do something well, or to think of something well, or to put it mildly, have an aesthetic experience out of that. And you can't really separate that. That was a historic, you said you have a degree in this, okay? You can see the historic process in that was only an experiment with media. It wasn't an experiment with matters of the heart, you know, or matters of the of human experience.
I'm not following you.
Okay. I'm gonna put this in.
I'm gonna look at some of the other words, I mean, like the fence
Yeah.
and the mushrooms.
What about the umbrellas that killed
and-
somebody?
Yeah, and the wrapped island
You know.
Yeah.
and something like that. I
Yeah,
mean, it's,
the
they're
fence,
all-
the Petaluma fence, yeah.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
also they curtain across the valley and stuff.
But it was an intention towards beauty, you know. I mean, I even think of Yoko Ono's pieces and stuff
But I
like
think
that.
Those aren't conceptual art.
But the doing it was more
Not
important,
pure
which ended up-
conceptual art. They've got there's a lot of aesthetic in the wrapped islands and the fence. It's beautiful. That stuff is beautiful. The object itself
The
carries
reason they're
tremendous
called
beauty.
conceptual art is because is that it's to artists. Okay, it's about going outside the normative mediums that people are using to express ideas, and unfortunately, that label was put on that process, which made a lot of people sort of not think about what was really going on. People had a lackluster reaction to that because it looked indulgent. It looked like there was a lot of vanity features going in there, which there were at the time. There were.
That's sort of your problem. I mean, you're trying to do some great piece of work, and the process is in the magnitude of what's important in it.
Well, the other thing, the problem is with that period in art, is that in Warhol and in Cage and
The
all that
whole
kind of
flux
stuff,
is doing it.
Yeah.
is
Well,
there was a
We're
sense
we're
of
talking about conceptual art.
okay, but there was a sense of doing an optimal thing with the little finger. And there's getting the most bang for the buck. And that was in the culture at the time too. And there's people were saying, okay, if we could just press this button here, we would have that huge nuclear effect there. Okay? And that was in the sociology of the culture, in the yuppie period and all that kind of stuff too. In business, it was everywhere.
I think I was living in a different culture at that time. But
It was all in the artistic thing. But now things are so different. There's I'm going to shut up.
The point I'm trying to make is when you talk about pure conceptual art, you talk about Joseph Kosuth, Saul LeWitt, the guys that defined the movement. Those guys.
I think Yoko Ono.
I think he's right about Yoko, yeah.
Yoko, I haven't studied that much of Yoko's work, and Yoko hasn't been that big in the books that I've
She was
read.
a poster girl for that.
Back in the 60s, we're talking.
Yeah.
Yeah, before John Lennon.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, conceptual art,
Cutting
came in this
cutting her
in
dress
the
off.
60s.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff that she did was
Yeah, but
pure
that's not.
conceptual, right?
But when you say conceptual, if she's cutting off her dress, the concept there is not what's beautiful. There's way too much going on with the experience.
Would you
for it
call
to be
Lady
conceptual
Gaga's
art.
meat dress conceptual art?
I try not to even look at Lady Gaga. I don't even, I can't have a conversation about her.
You don't even know her.
you know what,
I know
She has
is,
a
but
good song. I mean, I
One
love her.
I know
one of
she's a
Yoko's-
talented gal, but I just don't.
The piece of Yoko's that caused Lennon to be so interested in her was a ladder that led to the ceiling, and there was a magnifying glass, stapled to the ceiling on a string or something. And if you climb up the ladder and pick up the magnifying glass and look, in tiny, tiny letters it said yes. And that was a piece that he was like, wow, this chick is got something going on. That's what made him interested in her so much. So I think that's a very conceptual
Yeah, that's a
piece.
conceptual
Yeah.
piece because the ladder obviously wasn't beautiful.
The thing is, the origins of conceptual art started with the Dadists and
Sure, with
and
Duchamp.
concrete poetry and all that stuff, and
In fact,
Anyway, we should.
It's
Yeah.
funny.
So,
I went to a music conference one time. There were people doing concrete poetry and stuff. I don't know.
But
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I interrupted
Go ahead,
you.
no, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I've finished.
All I was going to do is try to relate, get back to this.
Yes.
The aesthetics of thinking is that. It's about the thought process, like conceptual, where I'm not talking about a mixture. Like Christo to me is a very much a mixture because there's a lot of direct experience there. That's the other end of this axis. For this, you're talking about an experience that doesn't have direct experience. It's about thinking, or
Like
very
philosophy,
little.
Wittgenstein and stuff
Sure,
like that.
sure. Math,
Mathematics, yeah,
sure, something like that.
What about math rock?
So take that into consideration when you try to put, work on the 8 corners. The aesthetics of thinking, that's what's intended there. Is the opposite.
Okay, and the axis here goes from purposelessness.
How about
Purposelessness
Santiana?
to utilitarian function.
I mean, and Santiana, in aesthetics, he did a lot of philosophy of aesthetics, and where the thinking itself about aesthetics was, an art form.
Yeah, right.
And with that was getting to the point where, writing program notes about music was an art form. Because it's incomprehensible. Without the experience, it was meaningless.
Hmm.
And the new complexity. Right?
That would be a
Burning.
fantastic piece, is write program notes and a whole description about music that and never existed and never will.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure
Great, you
I'm
could
sure
do
a lot's
that.
been written that's never been played. And it may exist.
Well, my homework is I'm gonna try to understand this.
Yeah. I
Try to
suggest
fill
the
eight,
library's
the
always
8 corners,
worried
and
about card
Right.
pages as
if
a
any
program.
of these
So why don't you just put
ideas you
music
find
paper
a
on the
little
wall?
fuzzy,
Just photograph it and play what they do. He was not amused.
I have something for you also.
I played a conceptual piece for Ivor Garroach.
Ivor Garroach.
D-A-R-R-O-A-C. And he was not amused.
He wasn't? He should have.
I think it's too close to home,
You want to give him one of those color Yeah, that'd be great, if you can spare it.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah, next one, I can.
Yeah,
I
I
go
don't.
to the web.
You
That
have
was
so
I only
we're
had
gonna
2,
meet
and Jonathan took one, and you got one.
I'm gonna have a hard time getting here next week.